All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This YouTube channel is dedicated to helping you get better at Bannerlord through the use of field command and battlefield tactics. And again, today we are going to have another one of our custom series. And again, continuing with our recent series, this series has had to deal with specific types of armies. We've already covered infantry, how to destroy cavalry, and of course today we will follow up the final one, how to destroy archers. Right. So we are playing Empire against Britannia. Both sides have all of the normal troop tranches except recruits. So the armies theoretically are of equal quality, and they have a few more troops than us. So it's more or less as an equal battle. We're fighting in the open, and we're playing as the aggressor, so that's in their advantage. Now what I would like to do is basically set up 6 divisions. So I'm going to have 2 of each. I'm going to have 2 infantry divisions, 2 archer divisions, and 2 cav divisions. Now my 6th and 1st are my infantry divisions. Now you don't have to do this. You can set up a single infantry division, but I think there are many advantages of having more than one division, and I'll explain as these 2 battles occur. I say these 2 battles because I'm planning on having at least 2 demonstrations of this, just because they can happen fast. There's a lot of things to explain, and in we go. So the first is the main tranche of infantry, right? That's the strongest center of infantry, and the 6th is more of a supporting infantry, skirmisher type units. They're not going to be the main force that's absorbing arrows. Now my primary strategy is to either destroy one of their cavalry units right away, or get cavalry behind the enemy, right? If I can get cav behind the enemy forces pretty early on, what we can do is, of course, sandwich the enemy. The enemy's trying to keep their archers at a distance from our troops, right? That's basically the objective if you have an archer-heavy army, is to keep your units away, far and safe from the enemy heavy horse and from their infantry, and we're in the opposite position, right? Since they have way more archers than us, we have, I think, 70 or 80 archers. They have 200 and something, and they have better archers. We're not going to be able to fight this battle at range. I am setting my archers up on this ridge up here because they will contribute. You know, they shoot archers and do pretty good damage. But it's these infantry divisions combined with the heavy cav that we're really going to do the heavy lifting today. So they have their infantry and archers in a very tight group together. They're sort of protecting their archers this way. But what we're going to try to do, I think what we're going to try to do is destroy this cav unit that's over here on the left flank. If you can take out one of their cav units, you have total mastery of the battlefield. They no longer really have the ability to counter your cavalry, and we'll be able to basically position to our heart's content. And I will try to show you when this, well, not when, after we destroy these cavalry. We are going to try to bait them in here. We're pulling the 2nd and 3rd cav. That's both cav divisions. The 2nd, by the way, is higher quality cav. You can see them there. That's the cataphracts and the stronger armored horse. I'll lead with them. The 3rd cav comes in, and they will be part of the sandwich, but I want my strongest units taking the enemy fire, taking on their enemy cavalry first. So here I'm moving these guys into squares, basically as a distractionary use. I want the enemy shooting at that square. Those are those infantrymen in a nice defensive square. They're still going to take losses, but that distracts the enemy and prevents them from focusing on our heavy cav. If I can destroy one of their cav units without suffering too many consequences from it, this battle is going to go a lot better. Alright, so you see I've got the 2nd cav here of 85 units, and the 3rd cav has 68. And all I want to do now is bait their cav. I'm basically making a threatening move here. You can see they're racking up kills in our infantry. That's fine. That's inevitable against archers, right? You've seen Braveheart probably. You're going to take an arrow in the ass sometimes in a battle like this. There will be losses. I just want this cav unit to attack us, right? So I'm sort of trying to lure them towards me, and bingo, here they come. They're charging right into the lion's den because we now wrap them up with our 2nd and 3rd cav. Right, they're attacking them from 2 different angles, and they're not going to do well against our cav. That's 50-something of the enemy cav against 130 of ours, and we have better cavalry. Right, the noble unit for the Empire, that's your heavy cav. That's the Imperial cataphracts, elite cataphracts. For Britannians, it's their archers, the Britannian Fian champs, so this is our best units against, frankly, their worst units. The Britannian cavalry are not very good. Still, now that we've wrapped them up, now that we've basically destroyed their heavy horse, that gives us control of the battlefield. As you'll see, we can now move our heavy horse in, and what I'm going to try to do is effectively wrap up the enemy with our cavalry. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually ram our cavalry right up the back of this formation here. Again, there will be losses, but what I'm trying to do is flush them, push them towards our infantry. Our infantry's running across the valley, and they're getting charged as well by the enemy cavalry. But I have way more infantry than the enemy does. Right, so we're sending our infantry in now. I'm actually positioning them right where the enemy's trying to retreat to. You can see my archers are in there shooting too, right? And now it's simply a matter of wrapping the enemy up, right? A lot of it you're going to do, we got a flying horse. A lot of your control with cavalry you're going to be doing manually. You're going to be dragging these guys behind you and saying, follow me. You can see my infantry, my main vanguard just bore down on the enemy and pour it in there. Our archers are firing unimpeded, right? That's a major tactical victory. And now it's just a matter of destroying this large Britannian force. It's going to take some work, right? They have very tough archers. These guys are very capable in melee, and they're also obviously deadly at range. One of the keys is keeping heavy horse in their face at all times. Units do not like shooting if there's heavy cavalry trampling through there. Like I said before, as soon as we destroyed their heavy horse, this battle became a lot easier. It's still not easy, right? Their archers are still shooting, they're still firing battle axes and whatnot, throwing projectiles at us. They're trying to spread out. But with our cavalry, if we just keep on wrapping them up like a big serpent, these guys are not going to, you see them trying to spread out. You see them trying to spread out, but they're not going to be able to, right? Every time they spread out, we just simply bring our cavalry to bear right where they're trying to go. Again, they're sort of spreading out in this direction. We'll drag the cavalry over here. Anytime they spread out, we simply have our cavalry follow us again, right? Now, I think we can do better in the next battle. I think the timing of this can be better. We can actually get our infantry so that it's right on the doorstep of the enemy before our cav slams into them, and we can have a better result. In fact, there's a tiny chance that we lose this. We get some units to rout, but I think this battle is over. We've got heavy cav just totally rampaging. Archers fucking hate heavy cav rampaging through them. It's a little bit realistic. Not a lot of the game is super realistic, but that part definitely is. If you had archers in the medieval era and there were knights running through them with armored horses, the fucking battle was over. They would do exactly what these guys are doing, right? They're out of here. They're going to get sabered down on the way out. So not a completely destructive annihilation like some of our other custom battles, but still a very decisive victory. You can see we have many heavy cabs still, plenty of our archers are still standing, and even some of our infantry survived. So we're going to immediately just reload this, changing my soundtrack a little bit here. You get to see sometimes some of the inner guts of the program, and we're going to do almost the exact same thing. We're just going to try to improve our timing a little bit. So again, the 6th, skirmishers. I put guys that tend to be lower level also in the 6th. I'm going to lead with the vanguard, which is the 1st infantry. Similarly, the 2nd cav. The word vanguard is basically your best troops, right? That's the front of your army. They learn throughout trial and error in military history that if you attack with your weakest units first, a lot of bad things happen. A lot of times they get annihilated, which is a blow to your army's morale. A lot of times it heartens the enemy because they got to kill, they feel victorious. So through the course of human history, of human war history, especially medieval war, they learned to lead with their best units. Both sides did. It's kind of like a baseball lineup where you put your best players at the very top. Alright, so we've got a little different approach this time. I've got this ridge. Anytime you can use the terrain, of course, you want to do so. Archers have to shoot. They have to have line of sight. If you can approach them from an angle where they can't shoot you very well, that's obviously an enormous advantage. Now, it looks like they're kind of trying to race to get up to this hilltop. So we're gonna try to beat them to the top of this hill. We've got a lot of heavy cav. If I can get heavy cav up here, we might be able to deny them this. And why is that important? Partly for elevation. They won't be able to shoot down at us. Now, there's another advantage of us racing to this hilltop. I think we can force the enemy off even if they get there first. And that's because they won't want to be so close to our units. You can think about it. If we're right on the other side of these rocks, especially that big rock here, we're going to attack their cav again. Their cav is dumb enough to approach us. We've got all of our infantry and cav right here. They're doing us a favor here. They're kind of suiciding on our cavalry. And it's not going to go well for them. But think about it. If our units are on the other side of this rock, the enemy won't be able to stay here because all then we have to do is go around the other side of those rocks and envelop the enemy. That'll be a very bad situation for them. They won't have any time to get line of sight and spread out. So we're going to bring our units over here, our archers and cav. Our infantry are still approaching in the valley. It's going to take them a little while. You can see them over there coming around those rocks. We're basically just resetting here. We're doing a little skirmishing here with the enemy units. And again, the reason I'm deciding to do this is because they had already gotten to the ridge first, so we're simply taking cover behind this rock here. Right? The enemy almost certainly is gonna move away from the rock because the enemy, they want to have distance between our units and where their archers are, of course. Yeah, you can see they're already starting to move away from the rocks, in fact. Still, we've denied them that high point. They can no longer shoot down this hill at us, right? So we can start moving infantry over here. And you do want to move your infantry as quickly as you can. You want to move them in line formation, and then when they get to where they need to be or they're being shot at, that's when you want to switch to shield wall. If you move them the entire time in shield wall, they're going to move really slowly. The only time you would ever do that is if they were under just a torrential fire from the enemy, right? Then you would want them in shield wall. Right now, I'm just distracting with our cav as we bring our infantry in. Heavy cav tend to do pretty well against archers because they're armored. Of course, a lot of shots are hitting the horses. It's kind of like a screen for our infantry as it moves in. Now, I'm planning on very quickly wrapping up these troops because they don't have enough distance on us. I don't know if you could tell. I've fought a lot of battles, and I can tell you these archers are way too close to us for safety. I'm now wrapping our cavalry around the edges of their archers. They're throwing 1,000 battle axes at us. That's fine. Axes and javelins are flying. But this whole time, I have my infantry following us. You can see them on the other side of the screen there. And now we simply bring our cav to bear and deny them the retreat that they want to do. They want to retreat back the way I just came from while our heavy horse is coming through there. The next thing I'll do is I'll spread out my infantry here in a nice big fat infantry line. Right? That way they can charge from a wider area. And you can see our cav is basically already backdoored the enemy archers. This is a bad situation for the enemy. They're trying to spread all these archers out, and they have heavy cav right on top of them. They don't have good line of sight to shoot, and we're not going to let these guys spread out much. You see these guys spreading out. All I have doing is I just have my cavalry following me, this big angry train of heavy horse, and it's sent to rampage through. Meanwhile, our full infantry, all of them, are spread out in beautiful long lines attacking theirs. Now, they have good enough infantry to fight okay, so we're going to continue to support with our cavalry. Again, their archers spread out over here. You should be familiar by this stage what we're doing. We're just driving these horse around, and they are effectively just a murder train terror situation for the archers. The archers start to move up this way. We follow them again, right? It's just basically an endless pursuit. Don't let these guys get any space. Keep them running. As long as they're running. Look, here our archers are raining down on them, right? So now it's the full effect. Archers are shooting them. They're getting trounced by cavalry. They're really getting wrapped up. And the death spam is appropriate, right? It's 90%, 80% green. A much more demonstrative, dominating battle this second time. All right, so to summarize, your keys with archers, of course, always approach when you can with limiting the enemy's line of sight. In this case, we were able to sort of quickly get on top of them because we were right around the edges of those rocks. Attack them from multiple directions. Deny them their retreat. They're going to try and retreat. Deny them that. Basically anticipate the direction that the enemy is going to run to and have your units either heading there or have a plan to get your units there as soon as you can. Of course, using heavy cav is the best way to do that. That way you can sort of track them down. And then anytime you can wrap them up like we did there where we had enemies or where we had forces all around them, that's your clearest key to a dominating victory like this, right? We've got half of our troops survived, and this enemy force, this very tough Battanian Fian champ army, is destroyed. We continue on with this custom battle series. Please feel free to make requests. If you want to see a specific situation where you're having a difficult time, I'm more than happy to try something out. I love fiddling with battlefield tactics. And of course, please check out the rest of the channel. We've got some 120 videos now with all kind of tactical instructions, everything from relatively simple things like what we just did to the very complex. Thanks again for watching, friends, and I will see you guys next time.